Hello and welcome to Bike Sport News TV. We're here at Oulton Park for the second round of the MCE British Superbike Championship. While we're here, we've been catching up with some riders. And the first one we talked to was Josh Brookes. The Australian had his best chance ever of securing a BSB title. He made the switch from Taiko Suzuki to Milwaukee Yamaha this year. And he's been talking to us about bikes, BSB, life and the roads.
Oulton's quite tricky. It's one of what appears to be, when you're racing, the more dangerous ones. So it's best not to do slow laps and look around at things that are quite dangerous. Best just to focus on the bike and your job at hand and ride the best you can and keep your mind focused on doing that, and then you kind of ignore all the other factors that can, you know, basically put you off. The first sessions out on the track this weekend were, you know, not perfect. The bike didn't feel right, but that's pretty standard. You know, you work through the settings and find something that makes you more confident, and then you can push harder. And now we've sort of got to a lap time which is almost lap record pace, and I'm quite confident to keep pushing more and more. So I think there's still a bit more to come. You know, each year I've kind of been disappointed not to have been able to do and achieve more. I feel like I definitely haven't shown my full potential in the British Championship. You know, so far this year we seem to be I seem to be certainly in a stronger position than I have been in previous years. So hopefully, you know, those words are now ringing true. It'd be great to achieve a good result or a win at the Northwest 200. If it doesn't happen, sure, I'll be disappointed not to have done better, but I know I always try my best in every event, but it's one of those ones where you can't really push or force the result. You've got to wait and see what comes of it, because essentially you're riding on a public road. So it's not like you can, you know, dig deeper and push harder to make the result come. You've kind of got to ride at the speed that you feel comfortable. I didn't really see my true potential there as a newcomer last year, so hopefully, you know, with some good weather this year and good practice, should be a great weekend, and, you know, then that's, you know, an increasing build to the TT. There's certain elements that still are quite intimidating, but I guess the rewards outweigh the risks. So that's why you still continue to go. Here it feels like a more controlled environment, so you sort of throw caution to the wind. Where we're at a roads event, you definitely, that self-preservation really is a strong force that you really rely on to gauge whether you're going too fast or there's still more to be had. You're sort of told what speed you're allowed to drive in the car, you're told what taxes you have to pay to the government, you're told, you know, what time you're supposed to go to school as a kid. You know, there's sort of so many things through life that kind of dictate what you should be able to and are expected to do, and it feels very constrictive to me. I don't like being told what to do, basically. So when I'm on the track and on the roads, it's like it's not a controlled environment. It's just life at its most raw, and I'm not being restricted by anything. It's like you've taken every sense of freedom to do what you want to do. And, you know, my chosen pattern in life is on motorbike, so it's the most extreme, raw energy from riding a motorcycle you can obtain. So that's why it's such a strong draw for me.
Recognised as a veteran in his field and is still definitely a housewife's favourite, GB Moto Kawasaki's Chris Walker is well past his 40th birthday, but he is still as fast as ever and has a lot more to give.
The last couple of years, a lot of people haven't realised, but the bike that I was racing was my own bike, and Quattraplant adopted the bike and kind of ran it as their own, but it was a little team within a team, whereas these guys, I've joined the team, they've built a fantastic motorbike for me and James, and the team is, you know, although they're not as recognised as some of the you know, premier teams, this team runs a tight ship just like they do, and it's only a matter of time before they're known as one of the premiership, and it makes a big difference what goes on behind the scenes, you know, not just out on the track. I'd had a fantastic winter's testing, which is something that I've not had the luxury of doing the last few years, so that's been a big thing for me as well, getting 9 or 10 days out in Spain riding, and a couple of BSB tests as well before the season started. So we knew we got some form, but you never really know till the race. And James made a big step at the race meeting. I managed to be in the top 5 all the practices, and even though I jumped off in qualifying, still managed to qualify 4th, and that mixed up qualifying really gave me a big chance in the first race to kind of help the job along a bit. I'm not going to get many more chances of a ride like I've got for this year. The team have put a fantastic bike together, got real fast teammates, which automatically keeps you on your toes. I've been training really hard this winter, not wanting to waste this opportunity, and so far so good. One swallow doesn't make a summer though, so I've got a bit of work to do yet. Alton Park's a really enjoyable track to ride. It's tough. It's tough to get a setting for. It's tough physically, and I find it hard to get my eye in here. Brands, it's just a short lap within a few sessions. Well, a few laps pretty much. You know where you're going. Got your bike dialed in. You're away and just chipping away, fine tuning, deciding what tyre pressure and stuff like that. Whereas Alton Park, there's a lot more to it. And unfortunately, having just done what I did in practice, I've missed a full session with a fire through no fault of anybody's bar my own, and it's going to make it tough. It really is. I don't mind being a veteran. I really don't. What's really weird is it doesn't seem 5 minutes ago since I was a young upstart, and before you know it, it seems like 2 years and you're a veteran. There's no middle ground at all. But I enjoy being one of the older guard. I really do. I don't think it makes you any. I don't believe it makes you any less of a force to be reckoned with on race day. The bikes have changed, the fans have changed, the BSB series has changed. It's come on a phenomenal way really since when I first started. When I first started Superbikes, everything was 750s, now the 1000s. They had no electronics on, and then they went to 1000cc's, got full electronics, traction control. They're still on 1000s, but they've gone full circle in the electronics and kind of curbed them a little bit in British Superbikes to keep the cost down. And for me, that's what's made the racing so special. The crowds at BSB have always been very hands-on. I've had a phenomenal amount of support over the years, and genuinely, I do know and appreciate that that's what's kept me in a job as long as it has, because there's been jobs open to me that I wouldn't have had a look in if I hadn't have had the popularity over the years that I've had the pleasure of. So no, I have a big thanks to them guys, I really do. I just want to be in the showdown. If you're in the showdown, there's always a chance that something might happen to one of the championship favourites, and you might be there. You know, 2 years ago, Alex wasn't really a contender. He scraped into the showdown and nearly won it. I hope that one of the riders from GB Moto is in that position at the end of the year.
Behind every rider is a crew chief, and Josh Brookes is no different. His Mick Shanley has the difficult task of marshalling the thoughts of the Bryngelly rider over the course of the race weekend.
Certainly for Josh, things are going quite well. We were fastest yesterday, second fastest this morning, so we're just doing final preparation, now ready for qualifying. The thing with Josh is his setup for this bike's been a little bit different to any other rider that we've had, so every time we go to a new circuit, his setting's a little bit different, so we've got to find that base level for him where guys like, you know, Shakey's been riding the same bike for 3 years, so you kind of wonder how things are going to go when you've worked with a rider for so long and you're new rider. So he's got his worries about, you know, the bike and the team that he's going to work with, and as a team, you know, we've got to sort of worry about the rider. You know, everybody's got to gel. It is a big team effort, so no, it's been great. We've all got on really well all the way through testing, and things are going well at races. Josh has always been competitive in the championship. He just hasn't managed to get that top step, so yeah, we've got to be consistently on the podium and ready to go and fight when it comes to the showdown. Brands was an up and down race meeting, let's say. You know, we sort of set the pace in the dry and then set the pace in the wet. Qualifying was fraught, to say the least. Obviously we had a few accidents in qualifying. I think we needed that meeting just to kind of settle down and get through. It's always difficult, the first meeting of the year, especially Brands Indy being sort of how short and frantic that it is really. So first race, small mistake, and unfortunately crashed out.
Josh Brookes has lost the front end going into Druid.
Second race, had to set off from 10th, but showed how fast he was and what sort of pace we had. So I think it was good to get it out of the way and sort of, okay, we've ticked that first race as a team out, now we can sort of start to build. After my debrief from the previous day, I'll have built up a picture in my mind as to what it is we're actually looking at doing and where we need to go. So I'll see my guys in the morning and give them a setting sheet for how to set the bike for the first session of the day. You sort of look at your data that you've had from previous years and you understand as well the nature of the track. As in Brands, there isn't that many slow corners and it's quite open and flowing, where here there's a lot of bumps and crests and, you know, uphills and downhills, so the bike's never going to be 100% stable around here, and I'm working on giving your rider a package that he can race as hard as he can do, really. And I'll have a bit of an idea on a few things that we might want to change, so they'll prepare those things, whether it be a different shock or, you know, fork springs ready to go in. Get into the session, you know, sort of, you'll have a plan, but you've always got to work on the fly, really. See whatever curveballs come in. You might be expecting one thing and rider comes with a completely different complaint. So yeah, it's very much done kind of on impulse a lot of the time, but afterwards the session you sit down and sort of chat through what worked and what didn't work, and where he's finding limitations with the bike. For me, all I want from a rider is really complaints, because the more things I can fix, then the faster he can go. So yeah, it's just a constant evolution, really.
And we'll have more bike news after the break. Welcome back, we're at Alton Park and we've got plenty of more bike news to keep you all entertained. After a year in MotoGP and a mixed season last year in British Superbikes, James Ellison is back, but he swapped his Yamaha for a Kawasaki. He's with the GB Moto squad and things are already looking up for the Kendal lad. He's already made it onto the podium and hopes for better things to come.
When I first got on the Kawasaki in, I think it was Cartagena, the first test, I was really surprised at how nimble the bike was. So for me that was like a big bonus. I really not struggled, but well, I suppose I did struggle a little bit last year with the other bike on really tight corners, you know, and I struggled to pass people. I was always, if I got behind somebody, I kind of had to sit there for the whole race. Whenever I made a passing manoeuvre, it would end up squashing the front tyre or running wide. And I found with the Kawasaki straight away it just felt really, really nimble. So I thought, even though it was a Spanish track, the corners, obviously, a corner's a corner really. So I figured once we got back to the BSB tracks, it would suit me a lot better, and it seems to do that. You know, I can make passes now.
With James Ellison looking to surprise Brookes, and he does.
We had a good result at Brands Hatch with 2 third places, and a lot of that was down to how easy I could pass people. So yeah, really, really smooth transition, I think.
Here comes Ellison.
I was due to possibly make a switch to Mark's team a couple of years ago. I thought it might be a bit soon with them being on what I thought were inferior bikes. And I followed the season through, and looking at his goals, he seemed to hit every target and like I say, even go beyond that. So I figured this year it was a calculated risk to go with him. I saw what he was putting into the team, the structure I had with Matt Llewellyn, the crew chief, obviously vastly experienced. I used to race with the guy, so he knows what he's talking about. And everything just seemed to, you know, to fit into place. And having Chris on the team, he knew a lot about the Kawasaki and knew that he would bring the information that we both needed. So it's good to see Mark so happy. I mean, he's happy all the time anyway, but to see him more elated, I think is a better word, at what he's achieved. You know, it's a brand new team to the Kawasaki. You know, they've had no experience with the Kawasaki Superbike before. He has done his homework, you know, and like I say, when I first got on the bike, I was already impressed with it. So a lot of that credit goes down to him. You know, all I do is get on it and turn the throttle and give him some information on how we can make it a little bit better. But they've given me the tools to do the job. So I think I would put it all down to the team, to be honest with you. Yeah, to see all that come together and to see all of his hard work, you know, be rewarded with 3 podiums at the first round, and to see him, you know, he was actually genuinely crying. So for us, you know, it feels great for him to have put his trust in me and Chris. And coming into this year, it's no surprise that you know, to me, that I want to be at the championship. You know, I want to win the championship, and I feel like we can do. It's early days yet, but you know, it's promising signs at the minute. If you stood here now, you know, it looks quite wide, but when you're on the bike, it's quite a narrow track, and it's really hard to pass in some areas. So there's a lot of fast guys out there. You can see from qualifying, the 3 of us seem to have half a second over 4th place. So but if you're back in 4th, 5th place on the start, it's going to be really difficult to pass those guys, and the first 2 are going to go away. So for me, yeah, it's really important to get a front row start here. We really did push for that 34.9 that we did in qualifying. I'm really happy we got it, because I need to get away with them, you know. Shaky and Brookes are obviously the 2 main rivals here, and probably at every other circuit, and I need to be with them at the start, if not in front of them. Even when we were having a bad setting, you know, we might have dropped to 4th for a little bit, even when I wasn't comfortable on the bike, but we've always been in that top 3 group, and that to me gives me a massive confidence boost, because that never usually happens. I always spend free practice trying to develop a race bike and not really hitting the fast times, and we've done that this weekend, so I feel like I'm in a better position now than I've ever been. Obviously, it's quite a difficult one, and to be kind of politically correct as well, because I was really happy in that team, you know, and signing on for the first year, for the start of 2013, I was under the impression that we were going to carry on a long-term thing and carry on into 2014. Obviously, Mick Shanley, my crew chief, everyone knows that we're really good friends, and I wanted that to carry on, you know. But then things kind of turned a bit sour towards the end of the year, and I could see Sean was looking at other riders. I feel like I've made the right decision, certainly. But yeah, back towards the end of the season, I felt like I kind of wanted to stay with that team, but after a few things sort of changed with the whole team dynamics towards the end, and when you know your boss is talking to other riders and he's not quite happy with you, you know, it's a no-brainer to move on, and I'm really happy in my decision, and don't look back for 1 minute. Mark's always in a good mood, you know, and he's always, the team morale's always up there. We always get on together, we always eat together. It's early days yet, but we've spent a lot of time together in testing, sharing hotel rooms, you know, with the managers, and we still get on. You know, we've been put in all sorts of different environments, and everybody still gets on, and we're still happy. So even when things aren't going so well, you know, Mark's there to pick everybody up again. So yeah, really happy with the team, and I think it works well because of Mark's, you know, idea of running a happy team. It's changed my life massively. I don't get much sleep now, but no, I'm enjoying it, enjoying being a dad. I think obviously it's a fantastic experience. I never knew how I would feel having a kid, especially around racing. I always thought he'd never be able to do it, you know, there's just no time, but obviously I've got #1 wife. She's absolutely brilliant, and at the weekend I don't need to feed him, I don't need to change any nappies. I can get on with my job, and I still get to give him a hug when I get back in, and it's just awesome, you know. She works really hard, especially over the weekend, to allow me to do my job, and it's given me a refocus as well, having something somebody that's there that relies entirely on me and Sarah, you know. Can't leave him for 5 minutes. He relies on us 24 hours a day, and he will do for the rest of his life, you know, and it gives me a bit of refocus here to achieve the goals that I want to achieve. It gives me that extra little budge, because what I achieve here will make a difference to his life, you know, and I need to do well here and earn a bit of money, so I send him to a decent college and give him a good life, and a good life like I had as well. So yeah, it's changed things, but in a positive way.
Danny Buchan, the rather tall rider, is in a rebuilding year. He's in the Pirelli National Superstock 1000 Championship, and things are going rather well for the lad.
Obviously, coming from last year, the year I had last year wasn't so good, and to be picked up and be back on top of the timesheets is really good for myself. You know, sort of training through winter and stuff. I spent a lot of time in Australia, and you sort of always training. You want to be the best you can be. So, thinking like going off the season where I didn't have any race wins or anything, it's sort of hard to get that buzz for it, you know. So coming out of round 1 and getting the win, it does really mean a lot to myself, and it sort of gives you that kick that you need, you know, for training and everything like that. Qingtao Racing and Kawasaki have put together a really good bike. You know, they've worked alongside MSS Performance, who I've worked with before. So together they've sort of come together, and this bike they've put together is amazing. And yeah, I mean, I've just gelled with it. We've done loads of testing, pre-season testing. It's gone really well. We've been quick everywhere. And we're on the actual new tyres this year. The last time I rode 1000 was on the Metzlers. This year on the Pirelli. So, and they're really benefiting myself. And the training's been going really well. I've sort of upped it on the training, and that seems to be paying off now. I'm sort of really focused on bettering myself each day. I'm not too worried about other people, and it's yeah, I sort of just look to better myself every day. So people say to me, oh yeah, you're looking to the end of the year champion. You know, we're only 1 race in, and that 1 race has been good, you know. So it's just about being consistent now for myself and the team, and keeping our heads together and keep working hard. I definitely want to be back on the superbike. That's the plan, and hopefully getting that showdown, you know, that's what we all want to do as riders. So yeah, obviously they're all world superbikes, but I love British superbikes. The fan base here is great. Everyone's so enthusiastic and crazy, and it's brilliant, you know, and I love it here. But like I say, I'm looking at this year first, and then once we get this year done, hopefully we can get that championship, and then we'll move on to next year.
Well, that's it from episode 2 of Bike Sport News TV. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you all soon.